Here's a really easy door decoration idea that's actually 2 in 1. We've been using these wood round circles from Amazon. They come blank so you can create whatever you want. And for my spring side, I taped off a bottom section and painted it green with a mop brush. I wanted to go for kind of an Easter egg theme, so I took a round sponge then and added a couple polka dots, making sure some of them go off the edge and on the tape line. And then when you dry it, the tape peels right off. For the top half, I went for more of a light pink, and I'm using a straight edge. I'm using a large flat brush just to make sure I get across that line evenly. But then I did switch back to my mop brush because it really does cover a lot easier. I mixed some white in with my pink too, just to give it a little bit of variation. And there's my base. Kind of looks like an Easter egg. Now, I made a paper stencil with my cutting machine, but they have so many different kinds of stencils out there, or if you have good handwriting, you could hand draw something. I'm just using a stencil brush with the color I want and tapping it over top. And if you're going for a really bright color like yellow or something that might be transparent, do a coat of white first, dry it, and then put the color over top. When it's dry then, peel it off, touch up anything with a detail brush that you need to. And let me show you my favorite part of this sign. We're going to make detachable flowers. I found these wood rectangles from Hobby Lobby that work perfect for this because they're pretty thin, and I painted it pink to match the spring side. Then, taking some Dollar Tree flowers, we just popped off a few from the stems and hot glued them to the little pink board. Because it's going to be detachable, you can make it as big as you want. I even added a couple leaves. If you're worried about the hot glue holding, you could use E6000 as well. We usually keep these indoors, so it's not as much of a problem. But now hold on to that thought. Put the flowers off to the side and flip it over to the summer side. I decided to paint a beach, so taking a mop brush, I did tan and white with upward strokes a little over halfway up my circle, even a little bit of dark brown for shading like that. If you wanted, you could even glue on some craft sand, and that would look pretty cool to give it some texture. Now for my water, I'm taking my mop brush and doing wavy lines all the way up to the top. I'm using bright blue, a green blue, and a little bit of white sea here for some highlighting. And for the texture, I'm going to use a dish sponge. I always have people ask me, what can I use if I don't have an artist sponge? So I'm showing you that using a dish sponge works just as well, just bouncing in some white paint between the water and the sand. Now again, you can do whatever you want for the words and decorations. I'm using a stencil that I made with my cutting machine. I just tapped in some white paint and fixed it up with a detail brush. I even had a sea star stencil, so I'm going to take some light brown paint there, and while it's still wet, I'm going to bounce in a little bit of white too to make it look a little more three-dimensional. At Dollar Tree, they had this nice thick rope here that's perfect for a nautical theme. So I'm just going to take my hot glue and glue that around the edge of the circle. I'm doing it on the front of the circle, not on the side, because I don't want it to show on the spring side, just the beach side. Now, just a tip, if you plan on putting this outside where it's going to be exposed to high heat and elements, I would seal the board with a clear coat and also use E6000 so the hot glue doesn't fail. Again, we're keeping these indoors though, so I'm just using the hot glue. And I loved everybody's suggestions for what to do with the top. I actually found this netting, just a little piece that was a perfect size to glue up near the water. The circles actually come with a burlap bow that I just thought took away from the nautical theme, so this was perfect. Thank you, everybody. I even played around with putting some shells in the netting, but in the end, I decided to keep it pretty simple. And there we go. Now, I didn't forget about those flowers. Let me show you how I made them detachable. Dollar Tree actually just has little circles that are Velcro, and they stick perfect. You just put it on where you want, and then when you're ready to switch from spring to summer, take it off and turn it around. I think this idea is great because you don't have to store as many decorations. We actually made one for fall and winter as well, so now the residents have one for every single season. Here they are all together. Which one do you like the best?